It's become quite popular as of late for independent video game developers to produce games that are pretty much retro styled. There have been quite a few over the years, games such as Samurai Gun, Shovel Knight, Retro City Rampage, and a huge number of others have come out in this style, and one of my favorite examples of this is Broforce. Broforce is a 2D side-scrolling run-and-gun by the indie developer Free Lives. It's a tribute to old-school action gaming and the action film genre. As you play, you encounter a great number of playable characters, or bros as they're called in the game, which are all inspired by classic and cult action, television, and film heroes such as John Rambo, B.A. Baracus, John Matrix from Commando, John McClane from Die Hard, The Terminator, MacGyver, and a huge number of others, all with unique weapons and special attacks. The object of the game is to shoot up the bad guys and make it to the end of each level, then fly off to the next, rescuing hostages along the way. Occasionally boss encounters occur, which will have you do battle against a giant machine of war, like in classic action film trope. You're all alone against unsurmountable odds. Rescuing your bros acts as getting lives for the level you're playing on, so it's a good idea to rescue as many of them as you can. However, keep in mind that since each of them have unique attacks, some are easier to play as than others, making for quite the learning curve to pick up upon as you're playing. This adds to the challenge quite a great deal, but as you rescue your comrades, you'll find new ones, and the characters swap out as you rescue them, so getting rid of a character you don't enjoy playing as might be just as simple as finding another hostage. Everything about the gameplay is kind of over the top, much like many of the films the game pays homage to. As you can see by the footage here, the violence level is kind of to the point of ridiculous. Firing off your guns won't just mow down the bad guys, but take out parts of the environment as well. Don't like the path you're traveling through? You can shoot yourself into one sometimes, and often parts of the levels require you to blow up something in your path. This game doesn't just have an old school look to it, but it packs some old school difficulty as well. There are tons of spots where you might accidentally blow yourself up or encounter a doorway teeming with enemies. Not surprisingly, many of the bad guys you encounter are pretty dumb, but the nearly endless supply of terrorist minions you do encounter make things very tricky at times. Thankfully, you can continue and save, which is a huge help. The visual design of this game is largely inspired by 16-bit gaming, but much of the design is a little too high-tech to appear on a Super Nintendo or Genesis, but the gameplay is pretty true to the era. While this is a computer game, I feel that it's one that begs to be played with an old-school style controller. I'm using one of those Super Nintendo style USB ones for this. I've tried using a keyboard, but it's way more fun with the controller, especially since the movement is quite old school. In fact, sometimes you have a little momentum and you can slip around, which is something you need to keep in mind because there are parts where there is some platforming required. The music and sound effects, on the other hand, they're not quite so retro. Most of the soundtrack here wouldn't be too out of place in any of the movies that this game drew inspiration from. It's much more modern styled than the rest of the game, but it still has quite a very video game feel, and I really dig the ominous bass guitar sound in some of these levels. Currently, the game is only available on various computer platforms, and it has been announced that it will be coming to the PS4 sometime next year. I really hope it comes to more console platforms than that, because it really feels like it's a game that belongs on a console. That's just my opinion. It's not a game with a lot of substance. It's fun in short bursts. It's mindless fun, mindless action, kind of like a lot of the movies that it's paying tribute to. And it's not exactly Gunstar Heroes or Contra or something like that, but it's still a fun time, worth checking out. And with all the Steam sales that go on, you could probably pick this thing up for dirt cheap, so check it out. That's all I can really say. Hope you've enjoyed this review. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.